What's up guys, today we have Corey on the show. He's about 230 pounds, a friend of mine, and a blue belt. He's a former college football player turned jiu-jitsu competitor who has been killing it lately in tournaments. Corey shoots from my hips, and as he does, I make sure to snatch up my grips underneath his neck and underneath his armpit for the front headlock. There's a lot of ways to use a front headlock, and what I do here is let Corey posture up so I can attack his hips as he does. I made two mistakes. One was not bringing my knees and myself closer to Corey as I shot, as I left myself overextended, and two was I stopped moving my feet, which allows Corey to settle his weight. Rather than fighting off his weight and resistance, I just sit to my butt because I figure it may be easier to wrestle back up from my guard because I already have good grips for it. I'm wrong though, and the grip that Corey has on my lat with his right arm is preventing me from changing my angle to get chest to back connection. I can't go forward, but I can go back. So I shoot myself back, which forces Corey's shoulder onto the mat. Now the mat is acting as a wedge, weakening his grip, and I'm able to take his back. Initially, I'm hand fighting, looking to put Corey in the straitjacket system where you control their arms with your hands and then hook their arms with your legs. But it can be hard to do that on someone with a big size difference, especially when you have short legs like me, and I see his chin is a little higher than it should be, so I abandon the hand fight and look to get underneath his chin as he's dedicated two of his grips to my one. If someone is underneath your neck with one arm, it can be a great strategy to prevent the second hand from locking up like Corey is doing. However, there's still a risk of a one arm rear naked choke. You only really want to control the secondary arm when you can't control the choking arm, but the hand on my choking arm is right there for the taking, which he does switch to. The back is proving too difficult to attack from, so I figure I'll try mount instead. But Corey is doing an excellent job of framing on my thigh to make space using a long frame. Corey's arm goes from using muscle when it's bent to using structural strength of his bone when it's straight. And with that frame, it's going to help him with the next step to regard. And what is that next step? The next step is to bring his knees in front of me. Now, what's the next step from here? Corey needs to put his feet on me. Guards are just grips that you take with your feet. Without grips on me or a guard, I can easily backstep. Whereas in this example, I need to be a bit more strategic on how I pass my opponent's guard as he has connection with his foot. In either scenario, there's only one more step to establish a real and useful guard. And what is that step? You can never have your frames facing away from your opponent. It should always be priority to get your frames back towards your opponent right away. Corey does start to face me better so he can frame on me, which is smart. You need your frames to defend. But he took too long to do anything meaningful and I pop up to knee on belly. Angles beat frames and I change my angle. What Corey could have done was frame off my tricep to escape. Notice how my frame becomes more powerful when it becomes a long frame. It's momentarily bent, but when I get it straight, it gets the job done. Corey takes inside position to counter in the way of an underhook, but why is it the wrong grip to take right now? Because I'm framing on him using my shin, my body's too far away from him to use his underhook effectively. My leg is way closer and what he should have went for. He does change his grip to the better one for this specific situation, but I counter with the front headlock. Lifting him with my butterfly hook so I can finish likely an arming guillotine from top position, but I end up kind of stuck underneath him, which is no big deal because it just means that the anaconda choke is a better option at this moment. I use my hamstring to push Corey's arm across his body so he can't use it to defend. I wait a second for my camera woman to come around and get a better angle, but she misses her cue and I just lock it up anyways. I'm squeezing with my arms, which forces my forearm into his carotid artery, and puffing my chest forward, which forces his carotid artery into my forearm. Using your legs to push the arm across is a wise decision because if they can use their arm to defend, and if you can use your leg to block their defense, then why would you not? They need to use what's available and you need to use what's available. As always, thank you to Corey for being on the show. Corey's such a nice guy. He lives an hour away, but he comes out weekly to train with us, and he even gave me a Christmas card this year, which was so nice of him and appreciated. This is one of the main reasons I love jiu-jitsu. You meet awesome people. Normally in my half guard, you see me framing with my T-Rex arms to prevent head control. You can never let someone grab your head. But Corey's trying to enter the front headlock or a guillotine, so I simply block off the space to prevent his arm from getting underneath my chin. But now I do switch to controlling his forearm. To counter, Corey changes his angle, looking to take a reverse underhook underneath my armpit. If I kept my underhook here, he may be able to attack my arm with a Kimura or smash me in general. I take it out so I can frame on him as I direct his body weight over top of mine. Once I get Corey's weight past my center line, finishing the sweep is a breeze. I just back roll into top position. I love this sweep, I'm always waiting for it. It works great, plus you get a ton of style points. The issue is I landed Corey's octopus guard, basically half guard, but the top layer is a reverse underhook. There are two factors that Corey is doing right now that are working against me and for him. Can you spot what they are? Corey has his right elbow framing on the mat, preventing me from keeping his back on the mat, and my knee is between his legs. I need my knee in front of his, not behind, so I can frame with it and or gain mobility to move my butt out for a better base, as well as to pass because I need my knee out first and then my ankle. So I'm still very early on in this guard pass and I feel quite vulnerable, as Corey may be able to do something like this, either hip bump or take my back. Here I fail my hip bump, but I use that space to take the back by pulling my knee out and changing the angle to gain chest to back connection. I'm trying to push his knee down, I'm trying to address that first, but Corey tries to hip bump and I need to go now. A bit of a scramble ensues and my only priority right now is to get that chest to back connection. Look at this scramble and you'll see that it can last a long time as you search for chest to back connection. It's a battle of angles to get there. So I have Corey's back and he's doing a great job again fighting my grips. I always have it in my head while doing these rolls that I can't stay in one spot for too long or to be boring. I need to get that out of my head. Anyways, I keep him elevated with my butterfly hook as I transition to top position. This has bitten me in the butt before trying to do this on big explosive guys, but it worked for me in this case. As Corey turtles, can you see what he did wrong? He's not staying tight with his legs or arms to block inside position. There was way too much space for me to insert my hooks. He made it way too easy for me. This is such a common lower belt mistake. You need to stay tight as you transition. Turtle's a great example. You can't let people get their hooks in. You need to stay tight. I tried to hit this cool armbar on him, but lose control of his head. Without control of his head, the body is able to move and he escapes. This is what I was trying to do, which is much easier against an opponent of similar size. I'd like to quickly introduce you to the sponsor of today's video, Legacy Consulting, owned and operated by my good friend Nicholas Stiglia. When I hired Nick in 2019, my revenue literally doubled in 3 months. Legacy is dedicated to empowering martial arts schools with the knowledge, tools, and resources that they need to achieve their highest potential, cultivate a positive culture, and leave a strong legacy. Legacy understands that every martial arts business has its own unique sets of strengths and challenges, and there is no one-size-fits-all approach when it comes to building and growing a successful martial arts school. They understand that your journey as a business owner, just like your journey as a martial artist, is unique to you. Go to Legacy MA Consulting to chat with Nick or book a free consultation. Again, that's legacymaconsulting.com. Back in half guard with my knee shield because why would I not use my frames I have available? But a butterfly grip is great too because you still have a frame. It may be hard to notice, but I got a little bit sloppy here trying to force octopus guard and sweeping from it without Corey dropping his hip down for a true octopus guard. But I still got the job done with the hip bump sweep. Corey has space to come up, but it's a bad idea because he exposes his back by doing this, and I change my angle to gain chest to back connection and take his back. This time I'm not letting him get out. I want that rear naked choke, as you can probably see on my face. Just like I said before, my arm goes from bent to straight. It becomes very strong because it's the structural strength that Corey's fighting against. This keeps his grip away and I'm finally able to lock it up after a third try. Just in general, I'm trying to roll looser so you can see less of my A game and more variety. It's tough to balance though, creating a little more openings without rolling sloppy, but I'm doing my best. Back in half guard, protecting my head, hiding space to prevent Corey from taking underhooks, using my knee shield, all great uses of my limbs. You need to always be doing something productive with each limb and often your head too. I go over this extensively in my Jiu-Jitsu theory course that's coming out really soon, but you gotta make sure you sign up for my newsletter as I give out a ton of free Jiu-Jitsu theory every single week. Before I take an underhook, I make sure to control Corey's far arm, otherwise I risk him putting me in its arse. But now I'm in quarter guard with his weight so far forward, I don't need to worry about that. You may recognize this position from my dogfight video. I'm in position for a roll under sweep. The issue is that I lose connection with my legs as I try to bring myself underneath his center line. Now I really need to use my right arm as a frame to push Corey past my center line and into bottom position. This is a scramble, and the reason I lost it is that Corey was able to keep his hips higher than mine. Sensing this, I regard right away. Let me know, guys, what did you guys do before Jiu-Jitsu? Corey did football, I did soccer. What did you do? I start working towards using my elbow to sweep him, but I feel like that'll be a little bit difficult, so I try to get underneath his chin for a front headlock, but no luck with that either. This is what I was trying to do, flare my elbow to the side as I elevate with my hooks. Back in half guard, and I need to get something going. I turn my hips to the side to off-balance Corey and then push his hips away from me so I can get my frames in front of him. Notice what I'm doing with my head. I'm framing to prevent him from putting me on my back. Here's a good example of the consequences of me losing my forehead frame. I go down. Sweeping Corey with a butterfly sweep feels like it's going to be difficult, so instead I pull Corey forward so I can get underneath him. Once I do, I lift him with my butterfly hook so I can bring my leg to the outside, locking up the saddle. The saddle is the most effective leg lock position in my opinion. Corey doesn't have a ton of experience with leg locks, but he's doing decent fighting my hands. He could also look to slip his heel, build a base, use his secondary leg to defend, frame on my butt to clear the knee line, but ultimately is forced to tap. You should always tap before you feel pain in any submission, but especially with heel hooks, as you don't feel pain until something's already snapped or popped. We restart one more time and there's not much time left. I want one more sub or cool technique though, so I shoot myself under Corey's hips to enter X guard. I can't stretch his legs out fully, but instead sweep him over his head. As I do, I backstep into the saddle for one more heel hook. I want to say a big thank you to my patrons who support the channel. I super appreciate you guys and everyone who watches. Thank you for sticking around until the end of the video. If you're still here, please leave a comment or fist bump, and I'll see you guys next time.